Giving all praise, honor, glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, RACHAQUADASH, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and the sincere shalom to the Akim out there pushing the sincerity and the truth and the sound doctrine. This is going to be a really quick video. This is a video, pointing more towards, the sincere brothers. Um, you know, we we gotta really, really, really be careful, man. Right? I'm just saying this for in general, just in general. When we say evil is everywhere, it is everywhere. Yes, including in the truth, right? You know, you gotta. This is why we watch a lot. Everybody. This is why we watch everybody when they come in, they cross over. Um, but even the people that's been there, for a while, and that's been, we still watch out for each other. But we do notice changes. We notice things, especially elders, and very observant brothers, right? That observe everything and that look at everything, and even a man that's been in the truth for X amount of years, right? When they start noticing things, they start noticing changes. That's when they sound that trumpet. It's just like, whoa, okay, yeah, that's a little different, you know. Um, when it comes to, let's say, for example, hustles, which we had Jake come in, with that hustling mentality, trying to hustle brothers. You know what I mean? If you have brothers that are willing to you know pay for your services and stuff like that, that's no problem. It is what it is. It's like I said, there's nothing against that, but it is a point to where it gets too far, and we've noticed people that's been here in really in this camp specifically too, but in the truth in general, that are now gone, that had brothers observed them and noticed that it's like, well, he's hustling people. Unfortunately, we do still have Jake that does that in the truth. In due time, if you are who you are, you'll be exposed. It always is exposed, right? Now, in some cases, does that mean that they're a wicked person? Not, not exactly, because I'm like, we come from all different walks of life. You know what I mean? That's why we extend mercy. You know, we come from all different walks of life. If you was a hustler before and you trying to, change your ways and stuff like that, you could find yourself slipping, right? Because some of the elect are going to be like that, because we're all surrounded by unrighteousness and infirmities. We're all sick. But this is why I say this goes towards you sincere brothers. You know what I mean? So this is Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15. See then that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, right? So let's go to circumspect. All right. We hear that word a lot, especially amongst us, man. It says exactly, accurately, diligently. So you gotta, let's get it in another translation just to see if it, that's circumspect, right? You gotta walk accurately, pretty much walking on eggshells, always looking, always watching. That's the point of being a watchman. Always looking, always watching. All right. So be careful how you live. Don't live like fools, but like those who are wise. Right. So pretty much you gotta be careful. You gotta watch people. You gotta watch brothers. You know what I mean? If you notice changes, you yeah, you gotta notice changes. If that does happen, you gotta notice changes in a brother's behavior. If you know that they're usually not like that, right? If you see them, start to get weak every camp and stuff like that, you start to see these patterns, or you start to see their ways change, and it's just like, yeah, something's going on, right? Whether it's to help them or whether it's to remove them. As messed up as it sounds, yeah, you start to see a brother, or seem to be a brother, do some wicked, crazy things. Yeah, you observe them to possibly remove them, because you don't want that influence in your camp, man. You don't want to be around that. Demons jump. So then that person ends up being, let's say, an alcoholic, because that alcoholism is not good, man. All right. I hear an awful lot of people make excuses, especially Jake that know the truth, brothers even, you know. Well, we in hell, man. We in hell. We in hell. We in hell. Okay, oh, I get that. But liquor is not should not be your comfort. We all have our little comfort zones or whatever, you know. But to rely on that, no, that should not be your comfort. Like some brothers is women. You most definitely should not be relying on women to to be your comfort here, man. To just constantly rely on that. Is it good to have? Yeah. Whatever your comfort zone is, yeah, it's good to have, and it's good to go into it, and as long as it don't get out of control. Video games even. I like video games. You know what I mean? So with that, I got on quite a few times about that, because I was overly doing it, overly indulging myself in that stuff, knowing that that's the devices of Satan. But it's a little bit of a relief to me. I get off work, I do my videos, I study again, I get on the game. What is what it is. Some people, like I said, some people is movies, some people is women, some people is drinking, whatever that is. We should not be relying on that, right? The ultimate comforter is Yahawah, man. Yahawah BAHASHAM Yahawah, right? But I say that because these are habits. And if you see those habits get out of control and they're not changing their ways, you got to remove that sickness, or else it's going to jump. And that's why I went into that just now, because it's going to jump. So we really have to be careful. You know, uh, the scripture says, Matthew chapter 10, verse 16. Um, Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. See, that's a very key point. That's a very important point right there, right? That just shows how careful. That just shows how careful and how much more uh, diligent and vigilant we have to be. How much more circumspect that we have to be. Because we're sheep in the midst of wolves. We're literally surrounded by wolves, right? If you try to keep the peace and mind your business, right? Somebody is going to find a way to try to irritate you, right? Due to all this snow, and all this ice that we had, and it's kind of hard to park around here, so everybody has safe spots. Well, like I said, like you can't. It seems like you can never get away with it, especially with our people. You know what I mean? I mean, you can't get away from it, especially with our people. Like so, like I said, a little difficult to park, right? This black woman leaves a this big obese black woman leaves a note on my car, and it's just like, well, what was all that for? You know what I mean? I don't talk to anybody around here. You know what I mean? I don't talk to anybody around here like that. Whenever somebody sees me, when I'm out doing something, hey, if you want to talk, we talk a little bit. It is what it is. That's it. But I'm not going out my way holding conversation with people around here, right? So that happened. It didn't really get under my skin because it's just like it is what it is. But it's just like that. That just comes to show you that we're just surrounded by wolves, man. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what you do, how much you try to keep peace. It's not. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It seems like. So what do we have to do? We got to face it head on. And how do we face it head on? Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. So as much as you try to come to camp, you try to be a reasonable brother, right? You always want to have certain people. You always want to have certain brothers. You know what I mean? You always want to have certain people. Like let's say you need some help or something like that. You always want to have a hustling brother. I'm sorry to say it like that, but that's just the reality. We got to be realistic, man. You know what I mean? We get on each other all the time, man, because we care. But unfortunately, like I said, just being realistic, and excuse me if this is illegal for saying so, you're always going to have a hustling brother around, man. Eventually, like, but like I said, in some cases they may not know, because that is the lifestyle that they lived before coming into this thing. That's all part of the sickness and stuff that we got to deal with. But you have, on the flip side, you do have some people, that came in with that hustle mentality and got removed when they got scoped out, right? When they got sniffed out, it's just like, yep, nope, that's a hustler, man. You got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of him, man. Nope, right? When this scripture tells you we are surrounded by wolves, that is in the truth too. That's in the truth too. You got some brothers that go behind people back and tell apostles certain things that really never even happened. Not apostles, elders, certain elders and bishops, things that never even really happened. Right? And all you try to do is just be go to camp, do my videos, study, and do what I gotta do. As a brother, if you need help, I got you. Nope. For some people, for some brothers, unfortunately, that's not good enough. Right? So what do we have to do? We gotta walk carefully and face that stuff head on. Because we're not avoiding it. Obviously, being as hell. You're not avoiding it. You can't. Right? That's why I say this video goes towards the sincere brothers out there, man. You know who you are, and you know who you're not, pretty much. Right? Let's go to 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, right? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, right, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Right. So like it, right. The devil can work, through brothers, even. You know. And it's up to us to rebuke that demon one way or the other. Rebuke him, rebuke that demon out of that brother to keep that brother, or rebuke that demon out of that brother to remove that brother who will obviously no longer be a brother. One way or the other, it gets solved. But that's all part of being sober, being vigilant. That's why we can't walk around here physically and spiritually drunk. It's not good. You got some people out there, some brothers out there that have a problem with alcohol. You know what I mean? That's like I said, whatever is your comfort zone is whatever your comfort zone is. But you have some people that get out of control with it. Right? You have some people that want to start fights. Stuff happens, right? But you do have some people that get drunk and they get belligerent and they start fights. What happens is one person gets drunk, starts yelling, next person gets drunk, starts yelling. So then next thing you know, everybody's drunk and yelling and fighting and stuff like that. And it's just like, and I've heard the excuses to it's a manly thing. There's a difference between being a rough, tough man, right? There's a difference between being a rough, tough man and being a belligerent demon. There's a huge difference, right? There's a huge difference between testosterone being filled in the air, you know what I mean, versus being a belligerent demon. There's a difference. You're out there ready to harm brothers. Like I said, things happen. Things do happen. It is what it is. So you out there, you one of them people out there that just want to harm brothers, and you get drunk and you start, talking shit, you start fighting and stuff like that. Then that's when it's time to cut it. That's when it's time to cut it. Slow your roll. Everybody go lay it down. Rest that stuff off. Come back sober. It's important to be sober, because once you're drunk, you're not vigilant. You don't know what's going on around you. Right? I'm just naming a few things, man. And like I said, if this is offensive to anybody, it is what it is. Like I said, you know who you are, man. You know if you're a hustler. You know if you're one of these people. You're one of these brothers, because if you're in this thing, you're still a brother. But you know who you are. You know who you are. But we gotta walk, be sober, be vigilant. We gotta walk on eggshells. It's so-called walking on thin ice, which I've been doing all this week, by the way. But like I said, with all this snow and stuff. But you gotta walk on thin ice. It's very important, man. Because you're gonna have these things. Like I said, I'm just being realistic. I'm just putting it out there. This is just being realistic because one way or the other, you're gonna have to face it. This is no longer a secret. I mean, it never really has been. You've seen the people that got kicked out. Like I said, unfortunately, and even Elder Apostle Hall would tell you, man. Unfortunately, we still have some of these people roaming around these camps, roaming around our camps. Guess what? Like Elder Apostle Hall said, and all the other elder apostles, each camp more than likely has an agent. No, Elder Apostle Hart said, no, that's guaranteed that all of our camps have an agent. One or two at least. Right? We all have an agent. It is what it is. So we have agents. Some of us have hustlers. Some of us have drunkards. Some of us have these things, man. That's just what it is, man. Hell, I got BS that I gotta fix too. I think I say that in almost every other video. I say Great Millstone, man. We are. This is why even AI will tell you that we are the most realistic camp out there. We don't sugarcoat anything. We don't have these gimmicks. We don't do none of that stuff. We don't rehearse these videos. Whatever comes to mind is whatever comes to mind. And we're going to say what we feel, at least as much as we can, while still being able to edify. We're going to say not Salaki. Let me rephrase that. We're going to say what's facts, not about what we feel. It's not about our opinion. We always say that. So Salakia, we always say that this is not our opinion. Whatever I said today was not my opinion. This is just realistic. You're just being real. And this is not just a Great Millstone. This is every camp. Every camp has something going on with that. Every church has something going on with that. Every group has a problem. No matter how you look at it. Heathens too, man. Edomites, Arabs, Indians, no matter what. Y'all, they all have problems. If they're in a clique, they all have problems. These things are going to happen. Right? So anyway, that's all I got on this. Giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. We got to really, really walk circumspectly and really, really be careful. All right? Because we are sheep. We are sheep in the midst of wolves, man. Now, I hope to the Lord, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, that I stay sincere, man. If he even deems me sincere right now. But I feel I am. But like I said, it doesn't matter what I feel. If he deems me sincere, then by the Lord's will, may he still continue to deem me as sincere all the way up, to the kingdom, man. All right? Hell, even during the kingdom. Everybody gonna be sincere during the kingdom. Anyway, giving all praise, honor, glory to Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. Abba Shem Rakak without Shalom.